Hello and welcome. In this video I will forget to drill some holes. Anyway, the aim of the game is just to fit this black box, which I think is 60 or 80 liter capacity, and build a frame to support it so that we can water some tomatoes. Somehow I thought it would be a good idea to buy some cheap wood, and yeah, it was, I think, for the whole project around 30 odd quid, but it's not in a perfect shape. But then I thought there is no need to plane it or chuck it through the thicknesser, it will do the job. But to be fair, it was, as you can see, slightly twisted, and probably it would have made my life easier if I have spent probably half an hour, maybe an hour, just to get it through the planer and thicknesser. Anyway, it was a good opportunity for me to play with large scale joints. I have never made tenon or any other connection slightly more sophisticated, so that was my opportunity to play with it and just have a bit of love. Yes, I do need a vise, and that is something that will hopefully happen shortly. So you can see a few nice pine boards below, and that will be my workbench hopefully shortly. I can't wait, to be fair. But anyway, in the meantime, I'm using my Japanese saws and Japanese rasp as well to find all the connections. And on the way I made a few tiny mistakes. Somehow I managed to chop or cut one of the boards a little bit short, which you will see shortly. And my miter saw couldn't actually get it all the way across, so I had to cut quite a few bits by hand. At this stage, probably have no idea what I'm doing, but I would like to make two cruciforms to support the tank, and they will be braced against the four legs so that hopefully it will all work together. So I got this gauge marker from Banggood, can't remember, 12 quid, and it actually does the job. That was my first cut, and yes, it makes life easier when the board is sunk slightly deeper, but hopefully I will have a nice vise shortly. At the moment I'm just using clamps just to wedge it in between the beams, and it was good laugh just to play with the saw and just make bigger connections, and the precision doesn't have to be dead on. It's just for a water tank, outdoor water tank, that will anyway allow some movement in the wood, and the wood will move quite a bit, so in the grand scheme it just didn't matter. It was more about the function than really fine-tuning all the details. But in the process I did learn quite a bit. It was quite interesting to play with different Japanese saws just to check the grain orientation and how efficient they work. But I enjoyed the process. At somewhere it was just bloody frustrating. I finished all the tenons and then I had to chuck the board away and do it again because I made it too short. Oh, that is a nice hand router plane. I got it recently, 120 odd quid from Banggood, and I have to say it is quite nice, does the job. And to make my life easier, I'm just adding a little chamfer to all the edges so that hopefully it will slot in easier and it will be less frustrating to assemble the whole thing. Anyway, more marking and more router plane, which was quite fun to use. I have to say that the wood was probably not the best choice because it was just splitting quite a bit, but in the grand scheme I enjoyed the process of using, and that was the excuse to get it in the first place. And this Japanese rasp is actually quite fun to use. It's really cool, so I enjoyed it, and it was actually quite nice just to fine-tune all the surfaces. So you can see one X done, the other one under construction. And even Luna got fed up with me cutting mortise and tenons. And that is the cock-up. So it was supposed to be square, but as you can see, it's not. So bloody hell, I'll have to make another one. So shit happens. Measure twice, as they say. Anyway, that's another one. And then I was not impressed with the poles that I'm going to use, so I thought I would actually spend a few minutes and get them through the thicknesser so that they would just simply look nicer. I know that after probably one winter they won't be as nice and shiny, but at this stage at least it looks quite nice and fresh. And that is another ruler that I got from Banggood, and I have to say I like this one. It was, let's say, a good value for money. To make life easier, I have marked up A, B, C, D, all the legs and the crosses so that I know which one goes where, and hopefully that way it will be easier to erect it later on and make sure that it will fit easier one into another. The whole project started because one of the extensions had no rainwater pipe or a gutter. I just thought it looks messy, so it is high time just to get it sorted. So I engaged my roofing skills and bought some rainwater pipe gutters, some connectors, and made it happen. I'm sure some roofers would laugh at my attempt to make it work, but anyway, it seems to be working and it looks slightly neater and tidier, so that was the main reason why I did it. And the second one is that my partner always, almost each year, wants to have some tomatoes, and somehow I'm always dragged into the watering of them, and because of this I'm just fed up of standing in the garden with a hose and trying to water it. So I just thought, nah, enough is enough, let's collect some water so I don't have to pay for it and make my life easier, so I can just flick a switch and water tomatoes and hopefully get it off my to-do list once in a while. So that is the first stage of making the mortises, and it actually went quite well. Unfortunately I didn't record it, but my daughter came over and we had good laugh by chopping all of them, and that's the final product with all the holes made up. And now I had a brilliant idea to make dowels or pegs to erect this all together, and I got this dowel plate on Banggood. I can't remember, 15-18 quid, and I just wanted to test it out. And I have to say that yes, it is easier to buy off-the-shelf pegs, but for example, for this application I just wanted something slightly beefier and slightly longer, and that's something that I'll have to buy a bespoke one or slightly more expensive one, and to be fair I don't need more than 8. Actually I will need a few more on that occasion, and some of them failed in the process of making so all the rubbish ones I chucked away, and probably I have picked absolutely worst piece of wood with so many knots and so on, but it was quite nice to play with the axe, just to shape them a bit and then whack them through the plate. And yeah, I know they look rough, but to be fair they do the job, so I'm quite happy with the outcome. So that was quite a nice process of shaping them, and yes, if you spend a little bit more time shaping them, then it's so much easier and quicker to walk them through the plate. Yep, a couple of walks and they are gone, and then you don't have to go through all of the holes. So yeah, that was the beautiful selection of the dowels that I will be using shortly. Yeah, so I'm quite pleased with this one, and it's time to sharpen one of the edges so that they will penetrate easier. But before I get there, let's drill the holes. Somehow I thought that the whole build will be way quicker, but it took me quite a bit of time. Not sure why, but I just thought initially that it will be a breeze and it will be a couple of hours, job done. but now it took me a little bit longer. So that's the first trial erection, and another cock-up. Somehow I measured this a few times, and sugar, some of them are too short. Luckily the main columns are, I think, 100 by 100 or 4 by 4, and there was enough meat to slim it down. So for any thickening in the barrel, I was able to take out with the router a little bit of excess and made another few millimeters either side to make it work. So that was the stage one, to rectify the mistake. Then I thought, ooh, let's use the belt sander to slim it down so that it will give even more space. But the belt sander, as I love it, was not, let's say, powerful and quick enough to make it happen, and I just thought that's taking too long to get it sorted. So let's engage different tool, and I grabbed electric hand plane, and this one did the trick quite nicely. So I had to shave off quite a few millimeters either side to make it happen. I don't know how I managed to cock it up and just take the wrong measurements, but that's the trial erection number 2. And this time, hopefully success. Fit it in, yep, a gentle kick, a bit of a hammer, and yep, we are in business. So, happy days. Good inspection, yep. And now it wasn't 100% right fit, so fine-tuning the tiny recesses with chisel, and I think after this one we have a success and it works. So happy days. And it was quite interesting for this application just to have different attention to detail and precision. It was just quite interesting just to see stuff, all the connections, all the bits that normally I would like to see spot on and just absolutely perfect. But for the water tank support frame, it is the function, not the absolute details and precision. And I have to say, I still really like this Banggood plate for my hand router. It is so much more comfortable to use. I just really like it. It's that easy and provides so much more stability. Can't remember, 16, 18, 20 quid on Banggood, and it's really worth it. So time to sharpen the pegs, and hopefully they will go through like butter. Yep, so that's the set, and I think I have made 8, so no spare. And I got so excited that my daughter came to help me out for a final build. So we have all the tools, everything is ready to go. So I'm over the moon. She came over and we can do some father-daughter quality time, and I'm really happy. So we crack on, go with the assembly, and everything is spot on. A bit of a hammer here and there, so I'm happy. But now gently, so very, very gently, so that you will not snap them, okay? And I just snap. Okay, that's not going well. Okay. No, it's not going to help much. Okay, we need another dowel at the bottom.
Worked, nearly.
Okay, because it needs to go through.
Through. Okay.
Oh! What a moron!
Oh, you.
Oh!
You didn't make the whole situation. You want to take it out?
Well, I got so excited that my daughter will come over and help me that I forgot to drill holes. Now it has been fixed, so we have some holes. So now it is so much easier to drive them in, and actually it does work quite easily. I was amazed that we were walking and we couldn't get that through, but yeah, somehow I forgot about this tiny little detail. And now all the dowels went in beautifully. So happy days, all sorted. Time to make a cutout for the water outlet, and I'm using my wave cutters for snare bits, and they do the job. The first hole goes in that nice, and it's so easy to drill. However, if you have to make another hole right next to it, that's slightly more problematic, but usually, yep, that's not how it should be done. Well, more power usually solves the problem. Now, half joking, but that's the trickier one to make it work. I'm sure there must be a nice trick. A bit of sandpaper just to rub off the edges, and it will be good to go, hopefully. Yeah, so again, I don't have to go crazy with the finishes. 120 grit will do the job. Now, time to engage my plumbing skills. I thought, ooh, let's make it nice. Let's use some Teflon tape just to make the connection even nicer. However, the wall of that water tank is just so shit, so flimsy, that I just couldn't actually get it in. So as you can see, I skipped on the Teflon tape, and there's no Teflon tape in between the copper connector and the water tank. And let's bring it in place. And I need to attach it somehow to the wall, so again, nothing fancy, just a couple of holes and bolt it to the wall. I need to make a tiny offset so that I can actually access more water pipe in line with the water tank, hence tiny packers, and then again it will be easier just to screw it into the wall. As a part of the package, there is an overflow catch for the rainwater. However, I initially used this one and it was so rubbish that it just didn't work. To be fair, not sure how it was meant to be working, but it was so useless that I scrapped it and just put directly a water pipe into the tank. There is no drainage for that location anyway, so that is the beauty that I fitted, and that's how it should catch all the water. But it was just so useless, it didn't do the job, unless of course I'm missing a trick. And then punch a few holes through some old rubber hose, and that will be the clever bit that will hopefully water all the tomatoes. Yep. Old hose, and it should do the job. I have to say that I need to improve on some of the holes. Some are dribbling water nicely, some a little bit less. So that is for the future me to fine-tune. And Luna, as always, was supervising and checking if the work is okay or not. So you can see the gutters and the rainwater pipe sorted and started to collect the water. Not a huge area, but it should do the job. Thank you for watching and see you next time.